Build compelling real-time apps quickly and scale them globally with the PubNub Real-Time Network. Only PubNub delivers the core building blocks needed for any real-time application. Find out for yourself by signing up for free today. Visit pubnub.com. Welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing, the most trusted podcast dedicated to the new business of location. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing. This is episode number 135. We're recording this live on summer solstice, June 21st, 2013. The longest day of the year, and I'm pretty sure it's been a long day for ASIFCon. My name is Rob Woodbridge from Untether.tv, located in Ontario. That's in Ottawa, the nation's capital. With me, as always, from halfway around the world, almost exactly halfway around the world, quite literally, Asif, where are you, buddy? In some hotel room.
I'm in Singapore. It's Asif Khan from the Location-Based Marketing Association, all the way over here in Singapore, a whole 12 hours ahead of you. So it's actually it's the 21st here.
Near the end of the day, though.
But it's the end of the day. So, yeah, it's been a long day. Every day has been a long day out here, it seems, with the trade show and so on that's going on, but it's been a good trip.
So you're in Singapore, yeah. It's like it's bright and early in the morning here for me. It's at the end of the day for you. This trip, this is the first leg. You're off to China in the morning. What? Let's talk about this for a second. How has this been? Like, this is not your first. This isn't your first trip to Singapore, is it?
No.
Yeah. So I mean, what are you seeing out there?
Well, the main reason I came out here is for the Communication Show, which is the largest trade show, conference, exhibition, whatever you want to call it, for technology within the Southeast Asian market. So about 14,000 people at this show, tons and tons of exhibitors, broadcast technology, mobile technology, marketing. I mean, a whole mix of things. So it's kind of like the CeBIT show or Comdex, but very focused, or even CTIA, but very focused on Southeast Asia. And so it's been really good. I came out here as part of the Canadian contingent, if you will, from Ontario and Quebec and BC, all had companies out here. And so we were part of that. Alberta as well had a couple. So that's been interesting to just connect with those folks and see what they're doing, and a whole mix of stuff, not just, obviously focused on mobile and carriers, but everything from, us doing location-based marketing stuff to a company called Hydrogenics that was with us that's doing, backup power systems for carriers using hydrogen energy to, guys like NetSweeper who are doing, carrier-grade filtering at the packet level, so a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's been really interesting. The best part for me is the way the trade show floor is structured is by country. So there's an entire area for Singapore. Obviously, it's the biggest one. There's a Malaysian area. There's a Korean area. There's a so on and so forth. And so for me, it's been that ability to kind of go around each of these areas, spend some time, look at all the different companies that are in there, and find the ones that are doing mobile marketing or location-based stuff, and it's been neat to kind of like just be able to go there and kind of pull them out and say, hey, let's go have a chat and see what you guys are doing, and so that's happened a lot, and that's been really, really good.
Been anything that you've noticed? Like, we often talk about this being the global play that's happening right now. Location is this global play, and we know that quite extensively. And for those who have watched or listened to this for quite some time, that's all we've talked about. But has there been anything out there that surprised you that is you'll take back with you to Canada and start talking about more often as a result of seeing it there? Like, is what's going on there more advanced than what we're seeing in North America, or are we on par?
I think we're on par, and surprisingly so. So much of the news and the media that we hear comes out of the U.S. and Europe. And what I was happily surprised, or just validated, I guess, you sort of, we're a global entity, so we get snippets and insights, but to actually be here and meet with the people is a different level of engagement. And so a good example was Yesterday I met a guy who runs a company in Brunei, and tiny little nation like Brunei, and they've got a whole location-based suite of tools and apps, but their focus is on enterprise applications, like B2B applications, primarily. And one of their applications, and we'll talk about this on a future show, we'll get them on and so on, but is for insurance. So basically, the insurance company buys this software from these guys. They have an app for the insurance company. If you have car insurance from this company as a consumer, you have this app with you. When you're in a car accident, you basically trigger the app. You use the app to snap the photos and report your accident in and do all of that. And then literally based on location data coming off of that off of that service, within 10 minutes an adjuster is sent out to your car to work with you. I mean, that's what these guys are doing. And this is in Brunei, yeah. But there's no visibility to that in the rest of the world. Right, unless you're living in Brunei and you're a customer of that insurance company, you don't have a clue, and that's the thing. And so I've seen that over and over again this week with different countries and different companies, and it's just been really good.
Let me ask you though: is the fact that we're going to talk about Google's Project Loon later on as well, and the desire to connect everybody on the planet, which is Google's mantra. More people on the planet means more revenue for Google eventually, but because of the fact that the proliferation of mobile devices is so strong in Asia, Singapore, obviously, Asia, the Far East, Africa, India, I mean, are they, this is a normal service for them. This isn't out of the ordinary for them. This isn't that they never got really used to the big screen broadband experience for the most part. So this is a natural extension, a more natural extension for them to be able to use these devices to do those things. Then it seems like in North America, like it takes a little bit more prodding and probing and pushing for a consumer to do this.
The interesting thing here is it's different in different markets. Yeah. So in Singapore, for example, there's virtually no billboards or digital advertising like we would have in North America. But you go over to the Philippines or Malaysia, there's billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
So even within the region, there's big differences in that context. And on the phone side of things, it's in a lot of the markets, it's very similar to Latin America in some ways, where you have kind of a two-tier economy. So you've got the vast majority of people still on feature phones, not on smartphones. And those who do have smartphones actually turn off all of the feature sets. So they have the smartphone only for vanity purposes, right? It's a status symbol. For a lot of people, so that's what's happening in a lot of the markets here. Not in Singapore. Singapore is definitely smartphone enabled, but in a lot of the other markets around here, like in the Philippines and Malaysia and places like that, that's not the case.
Oh, it's so interesting. Is that I love that. I mean, it's a status symbol, and it always is. I mean, when you carry a BlackBerry in Africa, it's a status symbol. When you carry an iPhone in India, it's a status symbol, and it's different here. I mean, it might be commonplace for us right now in North America, but certainly the pervasive connectivity and the affordability is a huge factor. But I'm always interested in that. Is that is a country that was never used to broadband connectivity with a big screen more adept, more agile in accepting and using these services like mobile banking? We've obviously seen that. So the insurance adjuster is there less of a barrier for their customers to use this than there would be in North America?
I think so. I think so, because you don't know what you didn't have before.
You never got used to the fat screen, right? Which is what I call it. So, you were telling me that there's an incredible pollution that is just kind of enveloping Singapore. Talk about that for a second, just out of curiosity, because this is pretty huge.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like you wake up every morning here and you step out your door and you can just smell. And you're just completely overwhelmed by what they refer to. Everybody here calls the haze, and literally, like you can't see the next building across the street. It's so thick, and it's an annual thing. It's the worst it's ever been, apparently, than any previous years. And so what happens is in Indonesia, they burn all the farmland to clear space for the new crop. And basically, because of the way the wind blows, all of that smoke that's coming off of those fires is coming to Singapore, and that's what creates this haze. And it's a shame because when you've got 14,000 people here for a show, and you want to showcase your city, this is what they get. Not good timing.
Very hard. And I know a friend of mine, Harley Finkelstein, who's the chief platform officer at Shopify, was there for over the last couple of days as well, because Singtel is now working with Shopify to bring Shopify into Singapore. And he said the exact same thing. I threw up a picture just a second ago about what it looked like at night. It was like just a dense fog or haze around the city, and it's and I've seen that in Thailand and Bangkok as well. But that's just because of the exhaust that comes out of all of the cars. But it's too bad.
It's crazy.
I want to reach out to a guy by the name of Tom Tierney, who's the VP Sales at Evidence Picks in Chicago. Corrected me last week for the episode last week. We talked about Navtech being acquired by Nokia, and I said flippantly that it was $3 billion, and he corrected me. It was $8.1 billion, that acquisition in 2008. And on the subject of whether Navtech will actually be acquired, he says, look, it's not going to happen simply because Nokia has made the strategic investment to put location into all of their mobile capabilities, and it's too strategic, and it's an essential service for them, and it's a unique identifier. And who knows? Maybe at some point if Nokia should fall, if you listen to Tomi Ahonen, it's only a matter of days. And it's always a matter of days because of Stephen Elop as the CEO. Yeah. But perhaps that becomes in play right now. But $8.1 billion is hard to swallow for any company, especially when you're talking about a Waze acquisition of $1 billion. So, Tom, thank you for correcting me. I implore you, if I say something that's wrong or offensive, do what Tom did. Just reach out in any of the ways that you can. He did it through LinkedIn. Do it any way you can, and correct me if I'm wrong, and disagree with me if you feel so compelled. Right? So... we have a good show. We have a unique take on our app that we're going to talk about Instagram and video. We've got 5 stories. Our guest this week is Mike Soucy, who is the co-founder of a company called Revolve, and they unify your smart home on your smartphone. This is a pretty cool example. He's just going to a brief clip of a longer interview that I did with him on Untethered.tv. And of course, we're going to talk about our resource of the week is about this the connected car, which is apparently a big industry. Steve, I don't know if you know that. I think we've only been talking about it as the second dashboard for life for all of our episodes here. So we're going to be talking about that, the validation that's coming through from that. But our first play...
Apparently we were right.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's been listening.
You know, I can't find this. I wrote into Internet World, a magazine, maybe 1997, and because they were talking about the connected car and how ridiculous it sounded, and I said, "My God, this is going to be the greatest thing when you can buy, movie tickets on the way to the movie ahead of time from your car, or you can get radio streamed from your car, and you can do all these things independent of your car." And I sent them a letter to the editor for that, and I wish I could find it because it would just validate the fact that yes, in fact, I may know a few things, or I saw this happening a long time ago. It's the one thing that I'm clinging to, and I can't find that issue. So I'll dig it up, but I believe in the connected car. I believe in what they're doing, and the 3G connectivity to the cars is, or the LTE connectivity to the car is insane. We covered that a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, just another thing for the carriers to,
reach into my pocket. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's start with our app of the week. It's not a new app, but it's a new feature of the app. It just was launched. Today is Friday when we're doing this recording. That's the 21st. It launched yesterday. It's the 20th. It was Instagram Video. So Vine, obviously. Vine was acquired by Twitter, took the world by storm for these 6-second little videos that quite frankly, I mean, some of them are funny and, some of them are interesting, but it's just another thing that ultimately I have to check, and and they're in a loop and they're annoying, and sometimes it drives me crazy. I'm not a big fan of Vine. There are some marketing components to this that are very unique, and some communications components that are very unique, but Instagram wasn't going to take this sitting down, Facebook and Instagram. So they created, obviously, Instagram Video. So they've just released this version, the new version of Instagram with this. It's 15-second videos. The key differentiator with this is that obviously you can take the videos, same way. Basically, you hold down your screen to record. You let go of your screen to stop recording. You hold it down, and it's continuous for 15 seconds. The difference, though, is that you can apply real-time filters, right? So you can apply a filter like a black and white filter or a number of filters that they've got. And then you can also go in there and edit out the things you don't like and reshoot them. So it's like you can do 15 seconds, but you can do 15 seconds of produced video versus Vine's 6 seconds of just kind of shoot, 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 publish, right? So it's a unique enough service. And 15 seconds of video might be that. There was a 15seconds.tv, which was a service, a company, maybe 2 or 3 years ago that was trying to do this. Didn't have the mass market that Instagram does have, but this is I don't know, what's the implication of this, do you think, on location? And I think that that's the most important thing. Location marketing and location tagging and the use of that data, or the use by brands to use Instagram to be able to capture something. What do you think the implication of this is?
So I like it. First of all, I think video. We all know that video is growing by leaps and bounds. A huge part of traffic on mobile across mobile networks now is video, and that's not it's only growing. The interesting thing to think about here is that Instagram's owned by Facebook, and when you post anything to Facebook now, whether it's a photo or a video or anything else, you have that ability to identify where this video was created, or where you're posting it from, and all that kind of stuff. So there's certainly a location element to it, and there's seems to be already, even though the acquisition is still pretty fresh for Facebook, but there seems to be already this notion within the Facebook community of location sharing. Being an acceptable thing, more so than on Twitter.
Yeah.
So if we're contrasting Vine versus Instagram's video capabilities, I think the number of people who are going to be willing to share location with a video will be much higher in the Facebook community than in the Twitter community, at least right now. Twitter's doesn't seem to be doing a ton to encourage people to do that. It hasn't been a core focus. I mean, it's a feature, it's available, but they're not really out there focusing on it. Whereas with Facebook, every time you post, you get the thing saying, do you want to share your location with them?
Yeah.
And people are doing it. In fact, there's from our stats now from a Facebook mobile perspective, there's something like 38 or 40 million people who are now actively sharing location all the time. So against Foursquare's 30 million. Right, so that's a pretty good number.
Well, I just did a Vine here, or not a Vine, an Instagram video, and I'll show you. The quality seems to be fine. And I applied a black and white filter, and I'll throw this up online. It's not going to be very interesting for anybody. You get a nice little tour of my studio, and it's not very exciting. But the thing is that maybe you're more apt at becoming a better producer as a result of this. Like the videos, the Vines are, unless you're Gary Vaynerchuk, who does some amazing Vines, are very funny. And they're very succinct. And I like the fact that you got this message. But it's so funny the way that they describe it. It's like 6 seconds is the shortened version, 15 seconds is the elongated version. It's like the long form of the video. And here we do, Untethered.tv does 60-minute videos, deep dives. And it's an attention deficit component that drives me crazy. But I think that there is a marketing component here, for a very strong marketing component here for this.
There is, and you also have to think about it from the monetization perspective, in the sense that if you're a brand and you want to do these types of videos, and you want to invest in creating them and so on, and you turn to an agency, well, the agency is going to say, well, we want to do a 15-second video because they can charge a lot more for that than they can for a 6-second one, right?
Yep.
So so from that perspective alone, I think there's a lot more money in it potentially for Facebook.
Well, and oftentimes you think that a 30-second pre-roll is too much, and especially in the video world and mobile world, and maybe this 15-second. Now, I don't like the way that they've integrated it into the stream. Is that I used to be able to flick through my Instagram stream and focus on a photo, but now it's like it just plays automatically, and if my music, if the volume is up, it plays out loud. So there's things to work out here, but I do believe that this is an opportunity, obviously, for a deeper opportunity for brands for better engagement. But if the Gap starts sending me video of summer dresses because that's what's on sale, I will leave Instagram in a second. That's the challenge, right? Is that it's got to be balanced, can't be overt the way that email is. So
your cross-dressing days are long over.
Well, it's a rant. Don't get me started. Yeah, exactly. Don't get me started. All right. So
let's get on to our story.
That's Instagram video. If you have any thoughts on that, if you're using it, let us know. You can actually hit us up with an Instagram video. Just add us in the in Instagram, and we'll watch it, and maybe we'll even play it online if it's clean. 15 seconds. All right, so we got 5 stories here. We're going to cruise through these 5 stories. We got obviously our guest in Mike Soucy and our resource of the week. Our first story here, Asif, a company called Single Touch, kind of getting into the business of 2009. Is that a good way to describe it?
It's one way to describe it. So Single Touch launches a product called Follow Me, location-based mobile ad service.
Wait. This is revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
Location-based ads? What?
Yeah. So these guys, Single Touch has been around for a long time. I think they're a public company. If I'm not wrong on that, I think they're a public company. These guys are, coming out of SMS, MMS, premium SMS, all that kind of stuff. That's been their space forever. And that's a market that is definitely in decline, especially in the U.S. and in North America in general. So, I look at this and go, they still got a good, solid customer base. There's a solid company here. They're, recognizing the decline in their market in terms of, available opportunity there within their core base. And here comes this thing that's projected, location-based services and marketing to be a $2.8 billion market by 2015. And Single Touch is saying, hey, we got to get in on this. We got to be part of this thing. So they've launched this ability to geofence properties and deliver SMS based on that. The carriers are doing this. We know that. Placecast has been powering carriers to do this. We got guys doing, like Urban Airship and others doing, playing in this space. This is a big space, and people have been in it for 3-4 years now. And here comes, one of the sort of the incumbents from the SMS side coming into it as
they're
well.
also doing location-based ads as well. They're not pushing just SMS, right? SMS is their business.
Yeah.
So it's like, But I love the way that they put this, is that, it's marketing spin. And this is like, whether this is a good idea or not, whether this is a laggard, an incumbent moving into a different business. And I joke because, this service was, you were innovative if you're doing this in 2009. Now you're just catching up if you're doing it in 2013. And you might actually be too late as people realize that certain specific banner ads and mobile advertising isn't really quite as effective as it was hoped. But the way that they position this is that Single Touch's Follow Me ads can reach 87% of the U.S. mobile market and deliver ads across all content categories within both the Android and iTunes app stores. It's like, there's a load of horse shit. It just means that any app, which is the majority of the apps that accept ads in these two platforms, because that's how people are monetizing, is freemium with ad supported. No, they can't reach 87% of those people. They can't. And they can't, that number doesn't matter. If I'm standing on the corner of, 1st and 42nd.
That's the addressable. Yeah. That's a total addressable
But it's like, the only addressable market are the 19 people that are around your business that you can drive, that you want to attract into your business. 100%. Yeah. So, these stats, that's what drives me crazy, is that, no, you can't, you're not going to get the world walking into your place of business. That huge number, the hundreds of millions of people that carry these devices, billions of people that carry these devices and have apps that allow this, don't matter, other than that person that's standing out front of your window that is trying to make a buy decision, right? It's that person that you want to get. So that's what drives me crazy, is that this kind of bullshit, they don't understand the business, which means I don't have a lot of faith in what these guys are doing. And call me out on this, but
the one thing I do like about this, though, is the ad piece of it. They partner with the mobile audience too. So this is real time bidding. that's going on here for this ad network stuff. So
Yeah,
I do like that
totally agree.
because there's not enough of that going on yet.
But that's
in the way mobile and location ads are
that's
happening.
the unique factor right there, is the real-time bidding, right? Is that it's not what the service that these guys are offering. It's that real-time bidding service. So maybe that's the bigger story here. But single touch, single touch. Single touch, stop bullshitting everybody. Just tell people what you're doing and do it properly. 87% of the market, you don't have to track those. If you want to talk to your customer, which is that local business, tell them that you're going to bring business in. It's the 9 people that you need to talk to that you're going to bring in. Target that. Don't go all crazy with ridiculous stats about targeting 87% of the Android and iTunes market. It's ridiculous. And anybody who listens to that, shame on you. You need Asif's help, or you need my help to figure out what your strategy is.
Well, I mean, it just goes against the even the base nature of what location-based marketing is. 87% is a mass market, not a hyper-local market. Yeah.
I want to touch on the 13% of the people that I can reach, right? I want to increase my business by that. So bring them in from the street, not from friggin' Asia. I don't care if they're in Texas and I'm in New York. I don't care about them knowing about my, it's just, anyway. That kind of stuff, wrong for the industry, wrong approach to this, wrong marketing message, wrong everything. Maybe the service is good, but it's been ruined for me. So look, single touch, if you are out there and you want to defend this, man, I'm ready. Bring it. That's our first story. But if you're interested in them, go to singletouch.net. Singletouch.net. And we hope that they can hone their message just a little bit. And if they need some help, hey, you know what, Asif and I, we do this for a living. They can reach out to us. All right, our second story. This is a great service. We're starting to see these all over the place. I am a parent of 2 children, not of age yet when I let them out of the house without my supervision. That happens when they're what, 22, 23? When you actually let them go out of the house without
the first time you mean, before they come back again.
Yeah, exactly. I kick them out and they come back in their 30s and stay to their 50s. So there's a huge market that's emerging right now, especially in the location tagging, the location awareness, especially in families. The concern over your children's safety is incredible now compared to what it was maybe 30 years ago when we were growing up. I was growing up. So talk about this company called they're partnering with Esri, which is great, about actually family tracking, which is I like this. But, I don't want to be that parent that does this. But secretly, I will be that parent that does this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I will be too.
Well, you have daughters, man.
We're just living in a different society than we lived in. When, as you said, when we were growing up, it's a different generation now. We just need to be more concerned about safety. Period. And I think in some countries, outside North America, this would be like every day, just the way we would think anyways, in some markets, right? In the Middle East and other markets and places like that, where, it's just historically more conservative anyways, than in North America. So this whole space of family tracking applications or enterprise applications around tracking family is a big space. I mean, we've seen, location labs and guys powering up carriers in the U.S. to offer these kinds of things. So you can buy these already, services like this from guys like Verizon and Sprint and so on. So that's one thing. Now, what we have here is which is a company that has been in what they call parental intelligence systems. That's their category.
That's just short for like spying on your kids.
Yeah, spying on your kids. Parental intelligence systems.
PIS. PIS.
Yeah, PIS. So they've been at this for a while, and that's probably like traditionally for them. That's probably I honestly didn't go in deep into this company, to be fair, but it's probably things like blocking websites and all that kind of stuff that you would do normally in an online world. And now they basically partnered up with Esri, and they created something you call Locate, which is being integrated into a service that they already have called Kids. And so this is a straight up normal tracking location-based service. They're using the Esri Geo Trigger API service to power this up. So they create geofences, or you as a parent can create geofences. So you might put it around your home or your school or your kid's friend's place. And when they leave the house, you get an alert if that's what you set up. When they're leaving school, you get an alert if that's what you set up, or whatever it is that you define the parameters around that geofence. But it's the ability to know where your kid is.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
It makes absolute sense to me. Certainly when you start to think about the implications of this, like home is not so much. So, Rogers here in Canada is offering this service when, you get notification when people walk in the door and walk out of the door. They get a snapshot of, they have a home security system now, right, with a camera, so that when somebody walks in the door, you get a snapshot of the door, of who that is walking in the door, and you feel safe. But I like the idea that I can put parameters around. I don't have daughters. So, I think that it's great that for parents with daughters who are concerned about it, say like, hey, listen, you're 13, you should never be at this boy's house. Notify me immediately when you walk in, when you get into a proximity of that guy's house, because I will be there with a shotgun. But I don't have girls, and I think that my boys will be the boys' house that the parents rail against, right? Just based on my children's path, and I think it's pretty funny to be that. But I like this. These services are going to be prevalent. I think at some point, though, they are consumed by the carriers or consumed by the phone manufacturers and the operating system. And I think that at some point somebody buys these guys because of this service. And I think that it's a very valuable service, especially for paranoid parents.
Yeah,
like this guy over here.
There you go.
So youknow.com.
Keep powering stuff like this up, and I think it's a good one.
Yes.
The category is a good one.
It'll be interesting because, like, when you.
Oh, and by the way, sorry. While we're on that, to talk about Asia. So one of the companies I met out here happens to be a Canadian company, but they're operating, in Southeast Asia as well. Is this service called FAMSI, and it's a subscription service, same kind of thing. You can get a little card like this, 12-month subscription for a user, and again, it's a family tracking, location-based family tracking service. So there's plenty of these out there.
And in every city. And I think that what's going to be interesting, though, is if you take like we were talking about Single Touch and that location-based marketing initiative where you take that and you put it up together with something like and then you put the two together and it's like, hey, your daughter's about to go into this guy's house or in proximity like that. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of services that you can do, like bail bondsman, call the police, get a gun, call a cab. So there's an opportunity for Single Touch to move into that market and help concerned parents about targeted advertisement to the concerned parent, right? All right, enough joking around. Right. Youknow.com. That's the letter U, know, KNOW.com. If you're interested in looking a little bit more of that. Third story.
There you go.
Massive. Like, when we think of media these days, there is no. It's so cross-pollinated. There is no television only, newspaper only, magazine only, radio only. There is no more of that. It is all blended. Newspapers are getting into video. They're getting into, obviously, deep into digital with apps and websites. Radio stations are moving into websites and apps. And the same thing with television stations are getting into the second screen experience on the web and on mobile. It is blended. There is no such thing as siloed media anymore. So this is a company called Gannett. They acquired, it's Bellows TV station. This is a big deal. It's a $2+ billion acquisition of a huge number of television stations across the United States. This is really that blending of print, television, media across the United States. It really propels Gannett into a stratosphere of media ownership, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a huge deal, and it kind of speaks to, for me, when you look at location and you look at the whole hyper-local opportunity, really being about integrated media and about, wherever somebody is right now and whatever media happens to be in front of them. And Gannett, understands that. Obviously, print is as a standalone market is still declining. But when you start to combine it with mobile and you start to combine it with television and all that, and take content from one and push that content to another, you can start to realize, some interesting opportunities. So with this deal, they acquired 21 TV stations. 14 of them, I believe, 21 of them are all 21 of them are in some of the top markets in terms of geographic markets in the U.S. And the interesting thing about this is 14 of them also have community sites that are associated with those TV stations. So, these are destination sites that, people that live in those communities go to for their news and information and their whatever that's specific to their local city or their local, district or borough or whatever it is, that it's representing. And that's an interesting play because that's the market that AOL's Patch has been in for a long time. And so now you have Gannett with this acquisition, moving in some respects also against Patch. So they're in the TV market. They're obviously in the newspaper market. Gannett owns USA Today and a whole bunch of things like that. And then you have now also, playing in this hyper-local news, from an online perspective, with things like Patch and deals, right? Because Patch has deals as well. And so Gannett already has for a while now, a company called Deal Chicken, which is their sort of Groupon, if you will, or local mobile deal piece. So it's a location-based mobile deal piece. And they have a partnership as part of all of this with a company called Datasphere. And Datasphere is a company that I know well out of Seattle, and they're the ones that basically do all the sales and find all the deals and put these sites and the contents all together around this kind of stuff. So, this is a really good fit because Datasphere, was already doing that for Bell. We're already doing it for Gannett. Now they're, economies of scale come together and you start to see some interesting opportunities. So.
And with this acquisition, it kind of puts Gannett into the nation's fourth largest owner of the Big Four network affiliates. So I just showed that graph up there. This is ahead of NBC and ABC, so behind CBS and Fox. And I think that this is one of these. The blended nature of this is so important, and the local piece. Now, this is where it gets very interesting with these television, Bellows television stations, the local affiliate. They were mostly pushing events out and local events, and it would be interesting to see how they actually really capitalize on the local side of it. Because up here in Canada, we had CanWest, which was a huge. I mean, they did this. They bought newspapers. They've spun it out, or they went bankrupt, in fact. And Postmedia emerged from this, and this is where Canada's largest newspaper publisher. But they owned the publisher across the nation with, I think, 13 daily newspapers. They owned a whole bunch of magazines in there as well. And they owned Global, which was our national, really, a national broadcast network where they had, it was the #1 broadcast network across Canada. And they tried this maybe 5 years ago and 6 years ago. And it went bankrupt. It went horribly wrong because, maybe the timing was wrong. Maybe this timing will be better. It's very competitive in there, but I always wonder about that local layer. Is that it's the hardest nut to crack right now, which is the local, the hyper-local stuff, because it's very expensive to produce, and it's very expensive to purchase advertising into that space. So, maybe they can do it a little bit better, but it's something that they have to do, and I don't have an answer for this other than, at some point, this homogeny of media becomes one big pot, and somebody has to emerge from this with a unique flavor, or else the same thing will happen that happened with CanWest, is that you can't afford to sustain it, and you start cutting, homogenizing the content, and then it's no longer local. So hopefully this doesn't happen with Gannett, but ultimately, I think the owners of the newspaper, the local owners, are always the better way to go. Like, I believe that your local newspaper should be owned locally so that it has that local flavor. So I don't know if I'm a big fan of this kind of homogenization and gathering up of all the content and trying to see if you can create local when you really can't. I'm not as optimistic about this as I think you are, Asif.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay though. It's a big deal. $2 point something billion, 21 stations. And it adds $1 billion of revenue, and it diversifies Gannett's revenue quite considerably. And as you said, it's a competitive world out there, and this is probably what they had to do. We'll see what. Well, I'm going to be watching this because we saw it up here in Canada. Okay, what our fourth story? Let's talk about this company, Tread. Man, Tread. This is a cool story. See if I'll let you explain this one.
Okay. Oh, I only get the cool ones.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, they're all cool, but this is something that all of us have gone through, right? Which is we've gone out and drove a car before. You and I have done that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is another great startup coming out of Seattle. Yet another reason why the LVMA has a chapter in Seattle. So Tread is they're describing it as the Uber for car test drives, and basically what these guys have set up is, when you're in the car shopping mode, apparently the average customer, when they're searching for a car, spends 11.5 hours shopping for cars. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of visiting dealerships. That's a lot of haggling with people and salespeople, and it's a lot of time. And so these guys have basically set out to reduce that amount of time, reduce the frustration levels. Just make this process easier. And so what they do is they set up a service where you basically go onto the system and you select the cars that you want, and they will bring a car to any location you want, and you can have two cars at a time. And for a flat fee of $19, you get a 1-hour test drive, and a Tread expert comes out with it. They've been fully trained in every car company and every car, so they know exactly how to walk you through all this. But you're getting it on your time and where you want to do it, and it's all for a flat fee. I mean, I think this makes a lot of sense, actually. I would use this, quite frankly. If I was out car shopping, I don't have time. I'm barely in the country as it is, like at home. I'm on the road all the time. I don't have time to go out and visit 15 car dealerships to decide what car I want.
Is that really the challenge? Like, I am, when I bought a car, it's always kind of, I bought a Jeep. Like, I knew I was going to get a Jeep. My first car that I ever bought was going to be a Jeep. And then I stayed in the Jeep family until it became, they stopped looking like Jeeps. And then I went out looking. And then I knew that I was going to be a Mazda guy, right? Because I drive a CX-9, and that was my. I knew I was going to be a Mazda guy because I had twins, right? So I like this service, and especially when I'm trying to dabble, I'm trying to figure out what my next buy is. $19 a pop might seem expensive if you're doing 3 or 4 or 5, right? So it's $100 to test drive 5 cars, but you get that expert. And that expert comes with you. He or she can answer all the questions that you have about the car, everything that you're afraid to ask the sales dealer or the sales guy at the dealer. This person, in a non-threatening way, you do a 15-mile test drive with these guys, and I think you can ask the questions. I think it's great. But so when you take that into consideration, that $19 is cheap.
It's not a big, it's worth it. I think. I mean, it's the value of time, and it's the value of that knowledge, and you doing all that research and going online and just have one of these guys come out for $19 and tell you, to give you the scoop and let you try it out.
I would do that. And the thing that I really love about this at the end, if you decide, listen, I want to buy that Jeep Grand Cherokee, that's the one that I want. I love it. I've test driven 5 cars. Is that then that the Tread guy who is the expert will hand you a price and a dealer and say, go to this dealer with this piece of paper and you will get this price. It's no haggling. It's no garbage. It's no like taking the offer into the sales manager's office and seeing if they can negotiate on your behalf and coming back and saying, oh my God, I got the great deal for you. This is a no haggle price. Here it is. And I think that in itself is worth the $19, where you don't have to go through that garbage with the sales guys, that whole charade that they put on. So that to me is the biggest benefit. And from a dealer standpoint, it really is. It's a very competitive world. I mean, in Ottawa, it's 1 million people in my city, and we have 500 car dealers, and this is a very competitive world. And I think that this is what you need to be able to do. This is the service layer that is missing. I think it's very unique. I like this. Tread.com, Tred.com. Very cool. I like that.
There you go.
All right, Asif, what if I told you that you were going to get internet from a balloon 20 miles above you, kind of circulating the Earth?
First of all, I wouldn't have believed it, but I do now.
I still don't believe it. I still don't believe it. I think that this is one of these things that Google's going to come out in a month and say, gotcha. But this is called Project Loon by Google. It's credible. It's covered in every newspaper, every digital media outlet. Google is putting balloons in space to give you not you and I, but to help get the other 5 billion people who don't have broadband internet online. It's crazy. Who are these guys?
As we were talking about beforehand, they got too much money.
Yes.
and they got some great minds, and they come up with some interesting things. And this is about bringing all those places on the planet that aren't connected yet connected. Why? Because the more people that are connected, the more money Google makes.
Yes.
At the end of the day, right? If I don't have internet right now, I can't search.
I can't be served an ad.
So if I can give you internet, then you can search. This is Google taking a page out of the old Gillette playbook, which is, I'll give you a razor, but guess what, guys? You're going to buy cartridges and you're going to buy blades, and that's where we're going to make all our money. That's what this is right here.
So this is so fascinating. So the idea is that they're going to take a balloon. It's 15 meters wide by 12 meters high. It's solar powered, and basically it becomes and they put it up 20 miles into the atmosphere, basically right into suborbit. And it follows a jet stream that basically it's above weather, it's above the flight pattern, it's where the weather balloons are right now, where they're launching weather balloons, and it basically follows a flight pattern that is a predictable flight pattern that they can adjust the height of the balloon to decide whether it's going, basically to keep it stationary. So this is a mesh network across, they're doing this in New Zealand, a mesh network across New Zealand with, I think there's 30 balloons that are up there right now that are being launched. And basically it's a relay that you have a receiver like a satellite on your home, and then it basically goes up to the balloon. The balloon relays it across the other balloons and hits the ISP and bounces the signal back. And apparently it's 3G speeds. This is only Google, man. Inventors of the driverless car and Google Glass could come up with this, and it is so freaking inspiring that they do these things, right?
I love it. I mean, kudos to them for pushing the boundaries all the time and coming up with great ways to make the planet better in some respects. And push technology out there. At the end of the day, they're still trying to make a buck, and by bringing everybody into their ecosystem. And this is another way to do it. It does provide a valuable service, to a part of the world that, I think, by being connected, there's lots of other things that come from it, educational opportunities and, just helping people, from, demographic situations, elevate themselves up and create more opportunities. I mean, there's a lot of good that can come out of this. But at the end of the day, it's about more people being able to search.
Yeah, they're a commercial entity, and they believe that exactly that more people online means more business for them eventually. And it's always been their mandate to connect everybody, to get everybody access to the internet, because it raises their ability. Now, my thing about this is, look, you know what? Their goal is to connect the 5 billion people that don't have broadband internet. And I wonder if we're past that point. And hear me out on this, is that, at some point, the desktop internet has been crushed by mobile internet, the access of connectivity through smart devices or through feature phones. And developing nations, emerging economies like Africa and India and China and you name it, they are already past this whole broadband desktop stuff, right? We got fat with this. We got stuck on the fat screen, and we have a hard time transitioning. But when you look at Africa and mobile banking, for example, through feature phones, and India and mobile banking through feature phones, and certainly in the Far East and Japan, it was the impact of mobile has been felt for far longer and far greater time than we have in North America. So I wonder if you're putting these balloons up there to give broadband access to every household that doesn't have it before, and I wonder if they're past that. And are you bringing them back to 1999 by doing that? Are you working in reverse just so that you can sell ads? And so I wonder what the implication of broadband connectivity to a desktop. It's one thing to bring it to them and cover that last mile for sub-Saharan Africa, but do they have the connectivity, the capabilities, the devices that will actually be receptive to that, or is this just an experiment to see what the impact is? I don't know if those 5 billion people want broadband connectivity to their homes when they're carrying it on themselves right now, and they're far advanced in the use of this than we are in North America. So
yeah, I mean, quite frankly, I completely hear you. I think in general, I think there's a need and there's a desire within a lot of these markets to be connected, but I think there's a lot of other problems to solve, like I think some of these guys just want to eat,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? They just need food and clothing and shelter. In a lot of these markets more so than they need to be connected to the internet.
But
Yeah?
the whole idea is that
But
maybe Google could serve them ads for pizza. Yeah.
yes,
No,
yes, there
it
you
doesn't
go.
work. Anyways, this is an inspiring project. It's thinking a way, way, way out there, that instead of trying to run cables and beam things off of satellites, let's use something simple as a balloon and solar power and a relay station and a true mesh network to get broadband internet to places where you just couldn't before. And I think there's an opportunity here for Google to enhance their mapping services as a result of this, and dig deeper in that side. But it's just so unique and it's inspiring. And I'll link up a bunch of places where you can follow this if you're interested. Certainly Google Plus. That's where they're posting a lot of photos and inspiring words. And this is one thing that I can't. This is where I appreciate Google, and they're just the engineers and the minds that they have there is just astounding. It's amazing. It's amazing. So, Google's Project Loon, very cool. All right, those are the 5 stories. We have our guest coming up, which is Mike Soucy, and then of course you got to come back after that for the resource of the week. So we're going to just finish this off with Mike. I had a great opportunity to sit down with Mike. This is a very unique company. The technology that they're working on is the unifier. So it's a company called Revolve, and Revolve is trying to unify all of these new connected devices that we're going to have in our home. So we're talking about Hue, we're talking about Sonos, all these different devices that you can actually have. They have their own app that allows you to interact with them through the app. So that, the apps that open up your doors and unlock your doors or open up your garage door. I think the thing that nobody wants is 40 apps to manage their house, temperature, all those kind of things, right? So what Revolve is doing is creating a little hub that everything plugs into virtually over your own internal Wi-Fi network, gives you one unified application on the device, and then it becomes a smart application. And here, this is Mike describing how he uses this technology today in his house as he's driving home. Literally driving home from his office, and what happens as a result of location. He breaches this area, which is about 2 miles from his home, and what happens from that point forward. This is the future for sure, and I love this company. I love what they're doing. So here is Mike Soucy, the co-founder of Revolve, and as I said, Revolve unifies your smart home on your smartphone. So here's Mike.
Really evaluated the business. We started to look at the competition in the field, where everything from managed service providers like you're talking about, that the major focus has been on security for a lot of these bigger companies.
Yeah.
It's of a big concern for a lot of people, and it's been successful in the past, so people naturally go to that vertical or kind of address that space, and they tap into the kind of the fear aspect of that. But it's competitive, and people are already addressing it. So when we look at, from a marketing perspective, you look at your positioning, which is your differentiator in the marketplace. We went through a whole process to say, what is our competition doing? What are they saying they're doing? What verbiage, comfort, convenience, control, or security or surveillance, right? Those are all words that we were using too at the beginning. But then we realized, how are we going to stand out? We're not. But then we realized that the market is still young, but what's really being sold that people are loving, it's the Sonos, it's the Philips Hue app, it's the Nest. These exciting, fun lifestyle brands that are connecting, not necessarily traditional home automation. And we're starting to see more of these lifestyle, cool, connected, emotionally connected brands. And so we said our differentiator is going to be to unify those from the beginning. Not to say you won't be able to add a camera to our system. And again, it's about enabling the user with all the devices out there about their use case, or we call them life stories, recipes, experiences, whatever you want to call those things. But it was an interesting process to find out what our market, how we were going to approach the market. And clearly, there's a segment of early adopters that are getting the cool connected devices, and they're emotionally connected with them. And we're already seeing so much. So for instance, I love this because we already have it working. Our hub uses what's called GeoSense, okay? When I leave my house every day, my locks lock down my house, all my lights turn off, and it just does it automatically. And I get a little alert about a half mile away from my home saying, we just locked down your house. When I come home, and it's cool because I'm an alpha user, I'm so excited about it. When I come home...
Do you kind of get that, like, that great feeling, like, woohoo, every time it happens?
I do, and my wife's like, we're the first one ever to use it. I'm like, yeah, like we're kind of... And I do it because I get these alerts on my phone, right? So So coming home, the opposite occurs. Is it changes my thermostat on the way home to make sure that it's comfortable, because again, it's summer. We like to not turn it on, the AC, until we're a little bit closer to home. So it'll automatically do that. When I turn the corner, if it's at night, it'll turn on my porch light. And literally, though, 3 other things happen. My doors unlock, my Sonos starts playing, and my lights turn on to greet me. And I can set that up into a mood. So we're really with this. It's not just one day we'll get there. It's happening. And it's with the cool off-the-shelf brands that I'm used to buying, not some walled garden stuff that I have to call AT&T, and it's cheap plastic that I don't, it doesn't go with my decor. It's stuff that I'm already using.
So you're unifying it. I love that. Like, I mean, if only you could open the door and have trumpets blaring when you walk in, right? I think everybody needs their own theme.
Trumpets. So we'll just start playing that, right?
Mike Soucy and Revolve. Check out Revolve. Now that's Revolve without the E, REVOLV.com. They're right now they're in beta mode. They're going to be launching the product in the fall, but it's a very unique company, a very unique offering. And as you can see, I get excited about this stuff because home automation, not really exciting, but automated home automation, Steve, that is what I'm really excited about. I love these applications that just do stuff without me interacting with them. Like as you said, like he pulls up to his house, it kicks on in the the air conditioning, opens up his garage door, opens up his house, turns on his light, starts playing music. I love it. Anyway, it's like you need. I want trumpets when I come home. Anyway. So that's Mike Soucy. Thank you so much for being a part of Untether.tv, and thanks for letting us use that clip on This Week in Location-Based Marketing. Go to Revolve, REVOLV.com, and you can sign up for a beta or trial. All right, we got one last piece of business, our resource of the week. And as we alluded to at the very beginning, we talked about Tread. We talked about the connected home. Now let's talk about what the connected car.
Connected car. Yeah, this that you and I have been talking about for a little while now.
Slightly.
Quite a few episodes over the last 6 months or so. I think we've covered the car. It's a big market, and we know that every car company right now is working with carriers, working with hardware providers, and equipping cars with Wi-Fi and cellular connectivity in making it a connected car. The market. So this little study here. This is a study that came out from a group called Groupe Spécial Mobile Association, which is the basically a group that's focused on telematics and mobile connectivity from that perspective. And the key stat here is that they're expecting that the revenue from connected car activity around mobile is going to triple by 2018 to $53.62 billion. That's what they're sizing this market at. That's a pretty big number. I mean, that's traffic. That's stuff like Waze going in, into Google Maps, into car navigation systems. That's call center stuff. That's
entertainment,
mobile web applications, entertainment. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't surprise me at all. This is just validation of what we've been talking about, is that, you spend so much time in your car. And we saw this in the early days of, DVDs in cars and screens that come down and connectivity for your gaming consoles in cars, and then the ability to hook up this in cars. And then you started to see this with pieces like Siri integration right into cars, right? And so it's only a matter of time before these services start to enhance. And $53 billion seems great, but I mean, that's just services that are being brought into the cars. You're talking about the opportunity to then leverage the car as a moving vehicle, and putting a local spin on that, and driving business to restaurants and theaters and whatever it is that wherever you're going, gas stations. And so the impact of a car is basically you're roaming around looking for stuff ultimately, because that's what a car is. It's a destination vehicle. So I think that this is not unique if you've been listening to this, but it just validates it that this is a huge market, and the dashboard is going to be a killer place to be, because you've got a captive audience when you're in a car. It's very cool. Can't say much more than that. All right. 5 stories, 1 guest, 1 resource. Boy, we talked about the app, Instagram for video, and certainly we got a summary from Asif in his Singaporean travels. Now he's heading off to China in the morning, and can't wait to connect next week to figure out how that went. First of all, if they let you in the country. Second of all, what your stay was like that. And then you're flying from China to the bustling metropolis of Minneapolis, right?
That is correct. Minneapolis, it is, yes.
So is that where you're going to be next week, Minneapolis?
I will be in Minneapolis. No, I'll be back in Toronto by the time we're doing the show again.
So we'll get a full summary of Asif's 38 hours on a plane. Right? Is that about right? From China to Minneapolis?
That's about right. That's about right, yeah.
Are you
enjoyable as my life is, yes. I spend it all on a plane.
Oh, exactly. It's like 4 hours in one location, 36 hours on a plane, 4 hours in another location, 9 hours on a plane. But are you actually going, so you're in Singapore, you're going up to China. Are you actually going around the Pacific this time, or are you coming back?
No, it's back across the Atlantic.
Oh my God. See, that is brutal, man.
Yeah.
Yes, what you need is we need space travel. That's what we need, so that you can just come up and land in an hour from wherever you are. But you can be sure that we'll get a summary of this. We'll get it from Asif when he gets back to Toronto next week of his China and Minneapolis trip, and it's interesting.
I think I should hop on one of those balloons.
I think so. It might be a little chilly. 20 miles up, that's fine. All right.
Yeah.
Asif, safe travels, man, and we will see you back in Toronto next week for episode number 136. For those of you who are watching or listening, thank you so much. If you have any feedback or you have a suggestion for the show, reach out. Do it by voice, untether.tv/talk. We will take that into consideration but you can reach out anywhere, just like Tom Tierney did. Please do so at your will. Let us know how we're doing. We appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe to our iTunes or any kind of RSS feed for the podcast. And you'll get it ahead of everybody else. Ahead of everybody. So be smarter for everybody for at least an hour is what I say. So until next time, we'll see you on the next episode of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. Safe travels.
Thanks.
See you later, everybody.